I worked the reception desk at a boutique hotel in Barcelona for 3 years. On a busy August afternoon, an American couple marched up to my counter. The man slapped his palm down and said, "We've been walking around for 20 minutes and nobody here speaks English. What kind of tourist city is this?" I replied in perfect English, "Sir, this is Spain. We speak Spanish and Catalan." He stared at me like I'd suggested the earth was flat. "But we're in Europe. Everyone in Europe speaks English." His wife nodded vigorously, adding, "We went to London once and they spoke English there." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "Yes, in England they speak English. Here in Barcelona, most signs are in Spanish or Catalan. Many people do speak some English, but it's not guaranteed." He pulled out his phone and started typing aggressively. "I'm writing a review about this. A major European city should accommodate English speakers. That's just basic hospitality." He showed me a half-written TripAdvisor complaint about how Barcelona was falsely advertising itself as international because the pharmacy staff didn't understand his wife's request for Tylenol. She'd said, "Tylenol," louder and slower 3 times, apparently believing volume equaled translation. They checked out 2 days early. The review mentioned our language barrier problem 17 times. That was my introduction to a particular breed of traveler. The ones who pack confidence instead of a phrasebook. My friend Akiko manages a convenience store in Osaka. Last spring, an American tourist came in at midnight asking for directions to the temple. Akiko asked which temple. "There are hundreds in Osaka." He said, "You know, the temple. The famous one." She tried showing him a map with multiple temples marked. He waved it away. "Just tell me in English how to get to the temple." She explained in English that she needed more information. He spoke slower, emphasizing each word. "The big temple. Everyone knows." Akiko pulled up Google Images showing Osaka's major temples. He glanced at the screen and said, "No, the one from the brochure." "Which brochure?" He didn't have it. Where did he see it? Couldn't remember. What did the temple look like? Like a temple. He grew frustrated with her lack of knowledge about her own city. He insisted, "In America, if someone asks for directions to the Statue of Liberty, we just tell them. We don't make it complicated." Akiko explained that was one landmark in one city, whereas Osaka had countless temples. He responded, "Well, maybe you should have fewer temples so tourists aren't confused." He left the store muttering about unhelpful locals. Akiko later found out he'd been looking for a temple in Kyoto. Different city entirely. 40 kilometers away. My cousin drives taxis in Amsterdam. One evening, he picked up an American woman from the airport. She asked him about windmills. He mentioned several historic windmills within an hour's drive. She cut him off. No, I want to see the windmills. The Holland windmills." He said, "Yes, we have many traditional windmills. Which region interests you?" She repeated, louder this time, "The Holland windmills. With the wooden shoes and tulips." My cousin explained that while those are Dutch symbols, they're not all in one location. Windmills are scattered across the country. Tulip fields are seasonal and concentrated in specific areas. Wooden shoes are mostly decorative now, sold in tourist shop. She wasn't having it. "I saw pictures. There's a place with all of them together. Can you just take me there?" He suggested Zandschans, a popular heritage site with windmills, shops, and museums. She said, "Is that where the real Dutch people live in the wooden houses?" He explained it's a tourist attraction, not a residential area. She looked disappointed, then accusatory. "So you're saying the Holland I saw in pictures doesn't exist?" He tried explaining that Holland technically refers to 2 provinces, and the picturesque scenes she'd seen were curated tourist imagery, not everyday life. She interrupted. "I paid a lot of money to come here. I shouldn't have to do research just to see basic Holland stuff. She left a 3-star rating. Said he didn't know his own country very well. I have a colleague from Prague who works museum security. An American visitor approached her asking where the Czech money exchange was. She directed him to a currency exchange around the corner. He returned 15 minutes later, annoyed. They gave me crowns. I asked for Czech money. She said, yes, crowns. Czech koruna. That's our currency. He shook his head. No, I need Czech money to buy things here. She explained patiently that koruna is Czech money. He pulled out the bills, examining them suspiciously. These look fake. They have weird numbers and no pictures of presidents. She showed him the denominations, pointed out the security features, and explained that different countries design their currency differently. He wasn't convinced. Real money has presidents on it, or at least famous people you'd recognize. He demanded to speak with someone more senior who could explain the actual Czech currency situation. Her supervisor came over and reiterated, Czech koruna is the official currency. He responded, then why doesn't anyone accept dollars? The dollar is the international currency. The supervisor explained that while some tourist areas might accept dollars, most places in Prague use koruna. He scoffed. That seems inefficient. You should switch to dollars to make it easier for visitors. He left to find an ATM that would give him real Czech money. We assume he means he wanted bills that looked more familiar, but we'll never know. He didn't come back. My friend Lars works at a cafe in Stockholm. One Saturday morning, an American ordered coffee. Lars brought it to his table. The man took one sip and called Lars over. This isn't coffee. This is espresso or something. Lars explained that in Sweden, standard coffee is typically strong and served in smaller cup. The man said, I asked for coffee. In America, coffee means a big cup of regular coffee. You should have told me you do it differently here. Lars offered to add hot water to make it more like an Americano. The customer refused. I don't want you to fix your mistake. I want you to admit that when someone orders coffee, you should give them actual coffee, not this tiny cup of battery acid. Lars apologized for the confusion and offered a complimentary refill. The man declined, then lectured him about international coffee standard. Coffee is coffee everywhere. You can't just change what words mean because you're in Sweden. He paid for the coffee he didn't drink and left. Before walking out, he turned and said, You guys should really label your menu better. Put warning, not real coffee or something. Lars later told me the coffee was exactly what 90% of their Swedish customers ordered daily. Nobody else had ever complained about it being not real coffee. My sister worked at a pizzeria in Naples. American tourists came in constantly expecting deep dish or New York-style pizza. One couple ordered a margarita. When it arrived, the wife looked horrified. Where's the rest of it? This is just bread with some cheese. My sister explained that Neapolitan pizza is thin crust with minimal toppings, focusing on quality ingredient. The husband jumped in. We have real Italian pizza back home. It's way bigger than this and actually has toppings. Pepperoni, sausage, olives, peppers. She mentioned that traditional Italian pizza is simpler, and pepperoni isn't really Italian. He laughed. Pepperoni is literally an Italian word. I think we know Italian food. She didn't argue further. The wife asked if they could add more cheese. My sister said yes, for an additional charge. The wife seemed offended. You're charging us to fix your mistake? This pizza is incomplete. They ate about half, paid, and left. On their way out, the husband told another table of tourists, Don't waste your money here. They don't know how to make pizza. Go to Pizza Hut. My sister's manager, who'd been making pizza for 35 years in the city where pizza was invented, just shook his head. He'd heard it before. I know a server named Yuki in Tokyo who worked at a traditional izakaya. An American tourist came in and asked for a fork. Yuki brought him one. He ordered yakitori. When it arrived on skewers, he tried eating it with the fork, awkwardly jabbing at the chicken pieces while they were still on the wooden stick. Yuki gently suggested he could eat it directly from the skewer with his hands, as is traditional. He looked at her like she'd suggested eating with his feet. That's unsanitary. Don't you have plates? She explained that yakitori is designed to be eaten from the skewer. That's part of the experience. He insisted on a plate. She brought one. He spent several minutes trying to saw the chicken off the skewer with his fork, bending 2 times in the process. He asked for a knife. She brought one. He finally got the chicken onto his plate, now mangled and cold. He took a bite and said, "It's okay, but I don't see what the big deal is. We have chicken skewers at Applebee's that taste better, and they give you a plate automatically." Yuki smiled politely. When he left, she noticed he'd tried to tip in US dollars. She had no way to exchange it. The bills sat in the register for 6 months before another American came in and traded them for yen. My most memorable story comes from my brother, who worked at a train station in Brussels. An American approached the ticket window speaking English. My brother responded in English, asking where he wanted to go. The man seemed surprised. "Oh, you speak English?" Finally. Nobody at my hotel spoke it. My brother asked again about his destination. The man said, "I'm trying to get to Bruges, but every time I ask someone, they pretend not to understand me. They just stare at me blankly." My brother sold him a ticket and asked, out of curiosity, how he'd been pronouncing Bruges. The man said it slowly, Bruges, like it's spelled. My brother gently corrected him. It's pronounced more like Bruges in French or Bruke in Flemish. The man looked annoyed. That's not how it's spelled. If they wanted it pronounced that way, they should spell it that way. My brother explained that place names often have pronunciations that differ from English phonetics, especially in countries with different languages. The man disagreed. English is the international language. If you're going to have international tourists, you should spell things how English speakers would say them. He took his ticket and walked toward the platform. Before disappearing into the crowd, he turned back and shouted, "And another thing, you should have signs in English everywhere. Not everyone speaks Belgian." My brother watched him go, then turned to his coworker and said in French, "Did he just call our language Belgian?" His coworker replied, "At least he didn't ask why we don't speak Austrian. They'd gotten that one the week before." These stories taught me something valuable. Language barriers aren't just about vocabulary or grammar. They're about assumptions, the belief that your normal is everyone's normal, that your way of doing things is the default setting for human civilization. Most travelers figure this out quickly. They learn "thank you" in the local language, point at menu pictures, laugh at their own pronunciation mistake. But some arrive convinced that the world should adjust to them, that speaking louder in English is a translation method, that other countries are basically America with different weather. The funny part? These same people probably get frustrated when tourists in America don't speak English. The irony never quite lands. Next time we'll talk about Americans arguing with Europeans about geography. Those stories involve a surprising number of people who don't believe Finland exists.